Hey guys, Yips here coming with another video, and this one is going to be about multi-target dotting as a warlock in a raid setting. Now, multi-target dotting in a raid setting is actually quite difficult as an affliction warlock currently because the spec that we're running really promotes single target, okay? Malefic Grasp, Soul Conduit, Contagion, Siphon Life, whatever sort of variation you're running, really promotes a single target oriented gameplay. The reason it promotes such a single target oriented gameplay is because when you're tunneling on the boss, you need to be getting your drain cycles out with your shards like this, right? You need to be doing this every like 15 to 20 seconds. Otherwise, you're just losing so much damage because you're not getting all your shards out. You're not getting efficient Malefic Grasp up time. So it makes it really hard to deal with additional adds that spawn because you're not able to maximize these sort of things in a raid setting, okay? So there's that. Now, not only is it difficult to multi-target because of this as a warlock, also your stat priority changes on multi-target. You don't know how much you should be dotting on multi-target. So I'm going to cover all of those things today and hopefully give you guys a better idea about how to deal with adds in a raid setting. So currently, this is my gear for single target. I'm running a crazy amount of haste. I want to talk to you guys about stat priority for multi-target, okay? So on any boss in the Nighthold where I know there's going to be additional adds, where I know there's going to be sort of things that I can DPS aside from the boss, I change gear around to run a higher amount of haste, okay? Now, the reason I changed to run a higher amount of haste is because this value of haste goes up a crazy amount when you're doing multi-target, okay? It does not surpass mastery, but at low values of haste, your haste stat weight is going to be absurd. It's going to be something like 2 compared to mastery, which would be like 1.2, right? So for me, for instance, my haste percent is 12, but when I sim myself for doing damage to 2 targets, haste has like 40% more weight compared to mastery for me just because it's so low, right? Obviously, you don't want to get crazy amounts, like you don't want 25% haste or something like that. You would drop too much mastery, but you definitely do want a good amount of haste for multi-target. Now, I want to show you guys why you want a good amount of haste by example, okay? So if I was to be saying, like, you know, going on the boss or whatever, going about my single target rotation, getting my UAs in, and then an ad spawns, okay? So I would finish up my cycle, an ad spawns over here. What would I do? I would finish my cycle, finish redotting the boss, go over to the ad, try to dot the ad, switch back to the boss, and look, my dots are already falling off. My haste is not high enough to get my global cooldowns out quickly enough to get all my dots off and for my UAs to be casted and then drain them before my dots already start falling off like this, right? It would just be too much of a pain for me to try to keep all of these dots up on the boss and the ad. They would just be falling constantly because of my low percent haste, okay? This is why you want a higher amount of haste so you can maintain more dots without screwing up your Malefic Grasp rotation. Remember when I was talking earlier, you need to get those cycles in? It's the same thing on multi-target. You still need to be getting those cycles in that's doing your bulk amount of damage, okay? So that's why I want to talk about stat weight. It's just haste has a much higher value. So for me, for example, when I go into multi-target scenarios, I tend to switch up a few pieces of my gear like this, and I run between like 14 or maybe even higher 16% haste on a multi-target scenario, just so I can get more of those dots out, just so I can be a little bit more efficient than normal, okay? So that has to cover the stat priority. Now I want to cover how to deal when an ad does spawn in a raid setting. So a boss like Stargar is a good example when the ad spawns in phase 3 and you have to switch to it. So I'm going to cover that, and then we'll also go into smaller ads, okay? So on Stargar in Mythic or whatever, in phase 3, even on Heroic, there's an ad that spawns that you need to kill or he'll wipe your group. So let's just say, you know, you're attacking Stargar, you're going about your regular single target damage rotation, and mid-cycle the ad spawns, okay? You're going to finish up your cycle first on Stargar because that's going to grant you the most damage from your UAs. Then you're going to want to redot him with Agony and then just switch all of those dots, everything except Agony from the main boss. So you see here, I'm only maintaining Agony on the main boss. I'm literally ignoring every single other dot that I could be using. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's simply a DPS loss for me in a multi-target scenario to dot this ad more than with Agony, okay? The reason being is you just want more globals of Drain Soul. You want more globals in order to maintain your UAs on the target. So like this, okay? If I was to dot this boss with more than just Agony, if I was to dot it with Corruption and Siphon Life, I would be getting shard capped, my dots would be falling on my main target, and he wouldn't be I wouldn't be doing my maximum amount of DPS, okay? So, you're just dotting the ad with what you can, and then once the ad is dead or finished, you can just swap back to the boss, and you already have your 10 stack Agony, and it's just like you were going about your regular single target rotation, okay? So basically, the way you want to treat it is like whatever target you're not hitting is like Solfagi, you maintain your Agony on it, and you just go in like that, okay? So this is how you want to be dealing when ad spawns, a singular ad, okay? Now I want to talk about how to deal with multiple sets of ads in a raiding scenario, okay? So let's use the Gul'dan instance as an example. So in Gul'dan Phase 1, you have the 3 ads that spawn. I want to talk to you guys about how you're going to be managing this with Malefic Grasp. So on Gul'dan, when the 3 ads spawn, you really starve for globals, right? You can't get all your Agonies out, you can't get all your Corruptions out, you can't get all your Siphon Lives out. If you're doing that, you're not going to have any time to channel Drain and get your Malefic Grasp procs off, alright? So the way you want to be dealing with it is, you want to use Seed of Corruption to spread your Corruption to 3 targets, and aside from that, you're only maintaining Agony, you forget about Siphon Life, and you focus one of them down, okay? Like this. This is how you go about your damage rotation on 3 targets, if they're all stacked. You Seed of Corruption to spread your Corruption to all 3, because it is worthwhile to get Corruption on all 3 targets. And then the other side of that, you literally just spam the crap out of Unstable Affliction on your main guy, because you have such high shard regen, and then drain it, okay? And then when it comes time, you're going to be refreshing your Agonies before they fall off, casting Seed of Corruption, and going about your damage rotation. See how I'm so starved for globals, and I'm so low, and I can't even fit in my Siphon Life? This is why you want a higher amount of haste. Maybe if I had higher haste, I would be able to fit in that Siphon Life global, and be able to maintain longer Malefic Grasp rotations, right? But this is how you want to deal with 3 target, okay? So that covers stat weights for multi-target. It covers how to deal with an additional ad that spawns, and it also covers like 3 target cleaving, okay? The very last thing that I want to say is little ads like the Fell Embers or the Voidlings. The way you want to be dealing with that is you just want to dot them once, throw a Corruption if you want to do max damage, throw an Agony if you need more shards, and just let that expire, let that get you the Wrath Consumption, and that's how you're going to be dealing with multi-target. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps you improve your gameplay on multi-target dotting as a Warlock, and I will see you guys later.